Olivia Sterling checked her watch for the third time in 5 minutes. 7:15. Her blind date was now 15 minutes late, and she was beginning to feel the familiar sting of disappointment, mixed with relief. The restaurant, Bellissimo, was one of the city's finest. All soft lighting and elegant decor. Olivia had chosen it specifically because it was close to her office, making it easy to escape if the evening went poorly. As CEO of Sterling Analytics, a tech company she'd built from the ground up over the past decade, Olivia had learned to value efficiency in all things, including dating. Not that she'd done much dating lately. At 35, she'd spent the last 12 years pouring everything into her company. Her college roommate Lauren had finally convinced her to try a blind date with Lauren's cousin, some investment banker named Gregory who supposedly loved classical music and fine wine. "He's perfect for you," Lauren had insisted. Successful, cultured, sophisticated. What Lauren meant was that Gregory came from the right kind of family, had the right kind of job, and would look good on Olivia's arm at corporate functions. The kind of match that made sense on paper, even if it didn't make her heart race. Olivia was about to signal for the check and leave when movement caught her eye. A man had entered the restaurant, and everything about him was wrong for this place. He wore work overalls with a gray t-shirt underneath, his dark hair slightly tousled as if he'd been working hard. He carried a bouquet of simple white daisies wrapped in plain paper, and there was a nervous energy about him as he scanned the room. Olivia watched with detached curiosity as the hostess approached him, clearly uncertain. The man said something, gestured to the flowers, and the hostess pointed toward the dining room with obvious reluctance. Then, to Olivia's complete surprise, the man walked directly to her table. "I'm so sorry I'm late," he said, slightly breathless. "The job ran longer than expected, and I didn't have time to change." He held out the flowers with an apologetic smile. "I'm Nathan." Olivia opened her mouth to correct him, to explain that she was waiting for someone else, but something made her pause. This man, Nathan, looked at her with such genuine warmth, such unguarded hopefulness, that she found herself momentarily speechless, and he was devastatingly attractive in a way that had nothing to do with expensive clothes or calculated charm. There was something real about him, something authentic that she rarely encountered in her world of board meetings and business deals. "Please sit," Olivia heard herself say, taking the flowers. "These are lovely." Nathan's face lit up with relief as he settled into the chair across from her. "I wasn't sure what kind of flowers you'd like." The lady at the corner market said daisies are cheerful without being presumptuous. "They're perfect," Olivia said, and found she meant it. When was the last time someone had brought her flowers that weren't from an expensive florist, that weren't chosen by an assistant? "I have to confess something," Nathan said, leaning forward. "I almost canceled 3 times today. Blind dates are terrifying, but my sister wouldn't let me back out. She set this whole thing up and threatened to never make her famous lasagna for me again if I didn't show up." Olivia smiled despite herself. "Your sister sounds formidable." "She is," Nathan said with obvious affection. "She's been after me for 2 years to start dating again. Said I've been hiding behind work for too long." "What do you do?" Olivia asked, genuinely curious now. "I'm a janitor," Nathan said, meeting her eyes directly as if daring her to judge him. "I work at Sterling Analytics, actually. It's a good company, treats their staff well. The CEO seems like a decent person, even though I've only seen her from a distance a few times." Olivia nearly choked on her water. This man worked for her. He was one of the dozens of staff members she'd hired through the facilities management company, people who kept her building running while she focused on the big picture. People she barely noticed. She should tell him who she was. She should explain the mistake right now. But something held her back. Some curiosity about how he'd treat her without knowing her position, without the weight of her title coloring every interaction. "Tell me more about your work," she said instead. Over the next hour, Olivia learned that Nathan had been a janitor for 3 years, but before that he'd been an architect. A good one, apparently, working for a prestigious firm. Then his wife had been diagnosed with cancer, and everything had changed. "I left the firm to take care of her," Nathan explained, his voice steady but his eyes reflecting old pain. "The healthcare costs were enormous even with insurance. I sold everything we had, but it wasn't enough. She fought for 2 years before she passed away." "I'm so sorry," Olivia said softly. "Thank you," Nathan replied. "It's been 3 years now since she died. I took the janitorial job because the hours were flexible and it paid better than you'd think. It let me pay off the last of the medical bills while I figured out what comes next. But somewhere along the way I stopped figuring. I just kept working. Your sister's lasagna threat makes more sense now," Olivia said gently. Nathan laughed, and the sound was warm and genuine. "She's worried I've given up on living, not just dating. But honestly, I like my job. There's something peaceful about it. I come in after everyone leaves, and I take care of the space. I make it clean and ready for the next day. It's simple, honest work." "There's nothing wrong with that," Olivia said, meaning it deeply. "Most people don't see it that way," Nathan said, studying her face. "Most people hear janitor and make immediate judgments. But you didn't. Why is that?" Olivia considered her words carefully. "Maybe because I understand that our jobs don't define our worth. That circumstances shape our paths in ways we can't always control." Nathan's smile was gentle and knowing. "You sound like someone who's faced her own challenges." Before Olivia could respond, a commotion near the entrance caught their attention. A man in an expensive suit was arguing with the hostess, his voice carrying across the quiet restaurant. "I'm supposed to meet someone here," he was saying loudly. "Olivia Sterling." "Is she here or not?" Olivia's heart sank. Gregory had finally arrived, nearly an hour late and making a scene. The hostess was pointing toward her table, and Gregory was already striding over with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no. "Olivia Sterling?" he said as he reached the table, barely glancing at Nathan. "I'm Gregory Ashford. Sorry I'm late, but traffic was a nightmare and my previous meeting ran over. Some people have no respect for other people's time." The irony of his statement after keeping her waiting for an hour wasn't lost on Olivia. She watched Nathan's face carefully as comprehension dawned. She saw the moment he understood who she was, saw the flicker of surprise followed quickly by hurt and confusion. "You're Olivia Sterling?" Nathan said quietly. "The CEO?" "Yes," Olivia admitted, holding his gaze. "I should have told you right away." "I'm sorry." Gregory, oblivious to the tension, pulled out a chair. "Well, this is awkward. Did you hire entertainment while you waited, or should I call security to remove this gentleman?" Nathan stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "No need, I was just leaving." "I'm sorry for the confusion, Miss Sterling." The formality in his voice stung more than Olivia expected. "Nathan, wait!" But he was already walking away, his shoulders set with wounded dignity. The daisies sat on the table between Olivia and Gregory, a simple reminder of something genuine that she'd just let slip away. "So," Gregory said, settling into Nathan's vacated chair with a self-satisfied smile. "Should we order?" "I'm starving." Olivia looked at this man who'd shown up late, made a scene, and treated Nathan with casual contempt. She thought about the past hour, about Nathan's honesty and warmth, about how she'd felt more herself with him than she had with anyone in years. "No," she said, standing and gathering her coat. "We're not ordering." "This was a mistake." Gregory's face flushed with indignation.
Excuse me?
"Do you know who I am? Someone who doesn't respect other people's time," Olivia said coolly. "Goodbye, Gregory." She left cash on the table for the wine she'd ordered and walked out, the daisies clutched in her hand. The next morning, Olivia arrived at her office before dawn. She went straight to the facilities manager's office and requested Nathan's schedule. Then she waited, sitting in her darkened office with the daisies in a vase on her desk, until she heard the sound of a cleaning cart in the hallway outside. She opened her door to find Nathan standing there, frozen in surprise. "Miss Sterling," he said formally. "I didn't expect anyone to be here this early." "It's Olivia," she said, "and I owe you an explanation and an apology." "You don't owe me anything," Nathan replied, but his eyes went to the daisies on her desk. "I'm the one who sat at the wrong table." "Or maybe it was exactly the right table," Olivia said. "Nathan, I didn't tell you who I was at first because I wanted to see how you'd treat me without the title getting in the way. But that was wrong of me. It wasn't fair, and I'm sorry." Nathan was quiet for a long moment. "Did you enjoy the evening?" "Before I found out and ruined it?" "You didn't ruin anything," Olivia said firmly. That was the best conversation I've had in years. You were honest and kind and genuine, and yes, I enjoyed it very much. Even though I'm your janitor? Nathan asked, and there was no bitterness in his voice, just honest curiosity. Especially because you're you, Olivia replied. Your job title doesn't change the fact that you're intelligent and compassionate and that you made me laugh for the first time in months. Nathan stepped closer, his expression cautious but hopeful. So what happens now? Now I'd like to ask you on a proper date, Olivia said. One where we both know who each other is, where there are no misunderstandings or blind date disasters, just two people getting to know each other. Your friends and family won't approve, Nathan said. A CEO and a janitor. People will talk. Let them talk, Olivia said with a strength she felt deep in her bones. I've spent 12 years building a company, proving myself to boards and investors and critics. I'm done living my life based on what other people think makes sense. Nathan's smile was slow and genuine. In that case, I'd love to go on a proper date with you, Olivia Sterling. Their relationship wasn't easy at first. There were people who disapproved, who whispered about Olivia dating her employee, about the inappropriateness of their different positions. But Olivia handled it the way she handled everything, directly and decisively. She ensured Nathan's employment status was never affected by their relationship. And she made it clear to anyone who had concerns that her personal life was exactly that. Personal. Nathan returned to architecture part-time, taking on freelance projects while continuing his janitorial work, finding a balance that worked for him. Olivia discovered that having someone in her life who understood the value of hard work, regardless of its prestige, made her a better leader and a happier person. 6 months after their blind date disaster, they stood in the same restaurant where they'd met. This time, Nathan had made a reservation in his own name, had worn a suit he'd bought specifically for the occasion, and had arrived exactly on time. You know what I realized? Nathan said as they sat at their table. This time, the right table at the right time. Sometimes the best things in life come from mistakes. From sitting at the wrong table with the right person. Is that your way of saying you're glad you crashed my blind date? Olivia asked with a smile. I'm saying I'm grateful for every moment that led us here, Nathan replied. Even the embarrassing ones. A year later, when Nathan proposed, he did it simply. With another bouquet of daisies and a ring he'd designed himself, incorporating elements of architecture into something beautiful and unique, just like their relationship. And when people asked how they met, Olivia always told the truth. At a blind date that went perfectly wrong, when someone sat at the wrong table and changed everything for the better. Because sometimes the best love stories don't follow the script. Sometimes they start with honest mistakes and unexpected connections. Sometimes the person you're meant to find is the one you never thought to look for, sitting at the wrong table with the right flowers, showing you that what matters isn't position or status, but simple, genuine human connection. If this story reminded you that love can surprise us when we least expect it, and that true connection transcends social boundaries, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories about authentic relationships, second chances, and finding courage to follow your heart. Comment below about a time when a mistake or unexpected encounter led to something wonderful in your life. Sometimes the best destinations are the ones we never planned to reach.